Hello everyone, how are you doing today? I hope you're having a good day so far. This video, well, it's going to be more of a talking video, less of a doing video. So if you have something to do, if you have a chore to do around the house and you want this to be some background noise, that's fine. I'm just going to be kind of talking through some things today, but it's a video idea I am very excited about. And the concept is drugstore brands that I could use a full face of and love it. Love every part of it. And I was really expecting that I'd come up with more brands that I felt this way about, but when it gets right down to it, and yes, I made a little spreadsheet so I could sort it all out and see if I could come up with something I liked for every category of makeup. Just down the list: primer, foundation, concealer, powder, bronzer, contour, blush, highlighter, setting spray, brow, shadow, liner, mascara, lipstick, lip liner, lip gloss. If I could not name something for every one of those categories that I really liked, then that brand wasn't going to make my list, okay? So yes, this seems like a fun little challenge, but really the concept behind it and the motivation behind this video was what drugstore brands are really doing it best in an all-encompassing sense. Because what I was finding as I worked on this was there were some brands that I felt super strongly about for maybe some part of their line. Maybe it was the complexion stuff, maybe it was the eye stuff, but I couldn't fill out the list with everything. And I just found that very interesting to see what 4 brands I came down to where I felt like I could fill the list out completely and have something I liked for every category. And I'm not just meaning tolerated, I mean really liked. Another thing I ran into were the incomplete brands. An example of that might be Profusion. Like, wow, they've got probably every eyeshadow color I could possibly need. They've got great blushes. They're doing this and this and this really good, but like they don't make a concealer. That's a problem. So I'm going to talk through this today and just kind of go over fairly briefly what the things are that caused me to select these 4 different brands as ones that I could use a full face of and like it. And I'd love to know in the comments section as you're watching this, like, what brands do you feel like you could do this with? And if you'd like to see a high-end version of this, please let me know. The first brand I chose to investigate, the first one that popped into my head that I thought would work for this was Wet n Wild, and it did indeed work out. I was able to name something for every category of makeup that I really liked, and I'm actually wearing that full face of Wet n Wild today. I've got it all here in my bag. Does the brand have a primer I like? Yes, I love this Glass Correct primer, this yellowy kind of tone, which I feel like the yellow isn't super relevant. It's not really like color correcting the skin, but it gives such a beautiful dewy hydrated base to your makeup. For base products, I could go for like one of 3 different things. We've got the Photo Focus Matte. That's what I'm wearing today. That's my all-time fave, but I also like the Photo Focus Dewy, and I also love the Bare Focus Tinted Hydrator. For concealer, Incognito. Great coverage, gives a really flawless look on the skin, pairs really nicely with the Photo Focus line. I would say I maybe use just a tidbit more of this than I would, say, a Tarte Shape Tape or a Camo concealer, but ultimately I get a really similar result. Photo Focus Loose Powder for my powder category, absolutely. That stuff works great. I love the way my under eye and my T-zone is looking right now. For bronzer or contour, from the Color Icon range, the What Shady Beaches bronzer is really beautiful. I love the depth that shade has. And today I was actually playing with some of the new Alice in Wonderland stuff for my complexion steps, and honestly, I think they all turned out really good. This T Anyone bronzer palette is so cute. It has a couple of deeper shades and then some shimmer in the middle. So I'm wearing that as my bronzer slash contour today. For blush, generally speaking, across the board, non-limited edition. I love that Color Icon range. They have Mellow Wine, they have Pearlescent Pink. They have some really good pigmented blushes, and you can just stock up on those at Walmart. But today I used the Talk to Flowers little blush palette. I'm not sure if you can really see what the shades are, but I went over here to this mix of like shimmer and matte, kind of a plummy tone. So pigmented and nice. I really enjoyed that too. And then for highlighter, non-limited edition, we're talking about the Mega Glow. It looks like there's a flower imprint in there, and they have the Precious Petals one that's really icy and light and bright, and that's stunning. Today from the Alice in Wonderland line, I used the Curiouser and Curiouser highlighter palette. palette, I kind of went for like the white and the pink and just used that for a really soft highlight. I feel like I need to experiment a little bit more with these because they're strips of product and I didn't fully get to every part of the palette just for today's look, but those are some additional options right now that exist in the range. For a setting spray, I love the Photo Focus Natural Finish. I also love the ones that are like in a rose scent, a coconut scent, or a cucumber scent, packaged like this. This is a great mister. Gives a beautiful, fine fan of mist, and the mist that you get actually does kind of soften up the look of your powdery finish and makes everything look a bit more one with the skin, so I love that. Does the brand have a brow product I like? Yes. This is my Ash Brown Nice Ash retractable brow pencil. No frills here. We do have the retractable brow pencil and the spoolie on the other end. If I'm looking for a brow pencil, and I've almost used this one up entirely, it's a teardrop shape, but if I want something with a little bit thicker end, this can do my brows so quickly, and the texture is good because it doesn't lay down too much product. If you have a thick brow pencil and it's also laying down a lot at once and it's really soft, that's hard to control. But this I can control and actually do a really quick brow with it. So I love that shade as well. For shadow, absolutely the 5-pan or 10-pan palettes. Today I use pretty much my all-time favorite from Wet n Wild, this 10-pan called Nude Awakening. I really love the amount of balance in this little handheld phone-sized palette. We have black, we have dark brown and burgundy, and then on the other end of the spectrum we have matte cream, we have shimmer, we have several kind of like, they all verge on rose gold, these different shimmers, and a great mid-tone for the crease as well. So that's what I've got on my eyes today. I absolutely love that. It's a great basic and super duper pigmented. And also it comes in at just under $5 at Walmart. For liner, look into the Breakup Proof line. I really have enjoyed the Breakup Proof pen, and they also have pencils too. The pencils are not as juicy and creamy as I'd like them to be, but for the fact that I can get on board with the pen, it made the list. For mascara, I don't currently have one of these in my collection, but the Big Pop of mascara is actually really good from Wet n Wild. After going years and years never really connecting with the Wet n Wild mascara at all, I was really happy when that one came out because it's good. It's kind of an hourglass shape, little taper at the tip, and is a great volumizing mascara. For lipstick, I do think you can just look to their cheapest range of lipstick that they offer. It's like $1 and change at Walmart. They're creamy, they're nice, and paired with a good lip liner, they can actually last fairly well, even though they're a straight up cream formula. Also like the Mega Last High Shine version. They have the Mega Last Mattes, which are kind of dry, and the Mega Last Shines are really pretty. Today, the Wet n Wild lip combo I have incorporates a lip liner and a lip gloss. Their gel lip liners are really good. They go on so easily. If they were in a contest with Revlon Color Stay lip liners, Color Stay would win for staying power, but still, these are great, and I love the shade Bear to Comment if you need a nice nude. And then the gloss over top, I like these Mega Slicks glosses. They have been around for ages. They make some really pretty kind of lip topper types of shades that are very reflective, but this shade called Past Curfew is a pretty rose, and it has shimmer plus the shine, so that's giving it an extra like bouncing off the lips kind of look. So that wraps up Wet n Wild. I was definitely able to name everything for every category of makeup, and look how far that brand has come. I remember when Wet n Wild was, you know, the brand you'd turn your nose up at in the drugstore, and then they started to change their eyeshadows, and they came out with like the Ultimate Expressions palettes, if anybody remembers those, and then the Color Icon range came in, and I remember being in Walgreens down here in Southern Illinois and tracking down those palettes, which were on another level compared to anything else in the drugstore. I do think Wet n Wild actually is a brand that kind of started here, and then they came up here with a certain part of the range with the eyeshadows, and it really caused all these other brands to have to level up, at least come close to meeting that. And then over time, they've gotten so great with the complexion stuff too. So I'm really proud of Wet n Wild. I was easily able to make that list. Okay, the next brand I could do this with. Can anybody guess what it is? It is e.l.f. I could use a full face of e.l.f. and be fully satisfied with everything. So first thing for the primer. Honestly, several different primers I could enjoy since realizing that they've smoothed out the texture of their original like putty primers in the little pans. I could enjoy that. I really like the liquid poreless putty primer, and I like their Halo Glow liquid filter for something glowy, has a little bit of that kind of liquid highlighter meets a little bit of foundation kind of vibe, so I like that. For a foundation product, it's the Flawless Satin all the way. I wear that in the shade Sand, and I think that's actually a really beautiful foundation, and it's been around for a while. I'm kind of surprised e.l.f. hasn't done a real update on that. I know they come out with the CC cream, but I almost have to wonder if something new is going to be coming in that range as well. For concealer, camo concealer or hydrating camo concealer I think is really the most special. Absolutely love this stuff. Love the way it works into any look, whether it's a more full coverage foundation underneath or something kind of light and glowy. The finish of this on the surface of the skin just always looks right. For powder, e.l.f. has a nice pressed powder foundation, but I also like their Halo Glow setting powder in the light pink shade. It's not quite as pinky as the new Patrick Star One Size one, but it really is brightening and it sets the look well. Now for bronzer or contour, if you can get your hands on the contour palette, this is so good. Here you got a group of 4 shades. One amounts to that really nice, like cool contour shade. One's a little more like bronzer. You got something that can set your face and also something with just a little bit of gentle sheen. I love that little palette, so that's one thing. And then also if you look to their putty line, be it the putty bronzers or the luminous putty bronzers, those can work great too. For blush, I wish they were keeping their bite-sized blush duos as readily available as ever, but I know those have become harder to come by and those are just so good. But another thing that I've come to love are these putty blushes, especially pick an intense color like this one in Fiji. If you want to see this in action, check out my recent putty video. I used this on cheeks and lips and it was stunning. It's such a pretty shade. It shears out so nicely on the cheeks. Great for summertime. For highlighter, we can actually go back to the Halo Glow and use a little bit of that, kind of dabbing it on the tops of our cheeks and use it as the multi-purpose product that it is. It can prime, but it can be used on top of the skin as well. For a setting spray, good old Makeup Mist and Set. I know I've talked about their coconut mist and how that one's really good too, and it's kind of like even better than Too Faced Hangover Mist, but that can't always be found. This is going to end up being the cheapest option, Makeup Mist and Set, and it works. It works for setting the skin, takes the edge off of the powdery appearance, and helps staying power. For brow, I like the Ultra Precise pencil. I wear that in cool brown. That's great. It's got the spoolie on one end and a really fine pencil on the other. Think ABH Brow Wiz. Also like their Wow Brow, which is their tinted like brow mascara. For eyeshadow, e.l.f. does have some good larger palettes. The new Classics palette is really pretty. They've recently come out with those 10-pan palettes that I think might be a little overpriced if you compare to some other drugstore brands, but also you can't beat their little bite size for value. So I love their all matte one for a terrific basic. It's called I Love You a Latte, and there's your latte eye look, that trend that's going around, but just the perfect gradient of matte tones. And if you want to spice that look up a little bit, pick up the one that's called Carnival Candy. It gives you like some burgundy and also some navy blue. For eyeliner from e.l.f., this was maybe the one place where I haven't dug in as much as I should to the brand, but I know I've used their No Budge Precision Liner recently and I could get away with that and enjoy the overall look. I know they've got a lot of different colors in that. Also mascara, their Big Mood mascara would be my pick. I know the Lash and Roll has been pretty popular, but I actually think Big Mood, with a little time, if you have it on hand for a while, it dries out ever so slightly, that can be a really pretty look on the lashes. For lipstick, their new O-Face lipsticks are very luxurious. Like we're talking magnetic closure, a really nice tube and design. They're not going for any real frills here, but it's a very nice, luxurious, kind of like think Bite lipstick, but in a drugstore version. This is the shade Standing Ovation. That's kind of your works for anything type of dusty rose shade, but I still want to try more from that line. I think those are really good. I also like their Hydrating Core kind of lip shine tinted balm types of things. For lip liner, they have their Love Triangle lip liners, which are going to be a little bit thicker shape of a lip liner. They're a teardrop shade. They draw on with ease. This shade I have here is called Mauve. It's a really nice cool neutral. And then finally for lip gloss, I've been getting back into their glossy lip stains. I wore one of those the other day in this orangey color and I really like that. And I also like the one called Power Mauve. So what these do is they do give you that kind of glossed up look, but it's not just purely the shine. There's a little color that wants to kind of cling on there as well, and I like that. So yeah, I could easily come up with a list full of e.l.f. products that I would like to wear. All right, my loves, the third brand that I could do this with, that I could list out a full face of makeup and like it from the drugstore, it's Maybelline. Yeah, pretty easily here too. All of these really were. With the brands that it worked for, it was easy. There were also those brands where I was close on some of them, but it just like either there was a lack of familiarity with certain parts of the brand, or just stuff I hadn't tried and couldn't say for sure whether I liked it, or maybe just knowing I didn't like certain things that I just couldn't fill out the whole list. But Maybelline, yes I could. Perfector 4-in-1 Glow Makeup. There's the primer step. Really similar with the e.l.f. Halo Glow, Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless seamless filter, but this is so thin, so lightweight. It pairs well with darn near any foundation I want to put on top of it. For a foundation I love from that range, it's got to be Superstay. I love this stuff. I know I haven't used it real recently, but gosh, that stuff can last and last and has really beautiful coverage. For the concealer, it's got to be the Age Rewind Eraser. Love the pinky tone brightener shade, but also like if I were to wear it in a skin tone shade, I'd get fair. Those two layered up are so good, and you know, I think we underestimate sometimes. This has been around a while, but it has great coverage and it's really light. For a powder, absolutely Fit Me Loose powder in Fair. I can set the under eye and the T-zone perfectly for me. For a bronzer, I think Maybelline could stand to kind of expand on bronzers a bit, but the one in this Master Contour palette, which yes, you can still get your hands on, really every part of this is great, but that bronzer contour shade is a really good tone. It's the medium to deep option. And then for blushes, if you're not sticking with that palette, just the Fit Me blushes are so good. If you get the color called Wine, I've called this Snow White's blush shade. It's so beautifully rosy, just the right amount of red and a little bit of sheen. It's so great. For highlighters, this one I feel like is a bestseller left and right for Maybelline, but the Master Chrome, this is the rose gold. It is so off the charts shiny, like it really came in when highlighter was at the top of its craze. That can be so intense. I only use a teensy bit of this. I will have this for the rest of my life if I wanted to. For a setting spray, on and off, I've been using this little like sample size I got of Lasting Fix, and honestly, it's totally fine. It's so similar to the last couple I've mentioned. Like, I don't feel like any of these are truly on the level of Urban Decay All Nighter for me in terms of enhancing the staying power, but they're good and they would definitely like get me through. For brows, come on now, say it with me, Brow Fast Sculpt. We love this product for filling in the brows. I mean, I could use another like Maybelline brow pencil to actually fill in, but this is the outstanding brow tool of the line for sure. As far as eyeshadow goes, the best thing Maybelline makes, the must-have of their line, is the Nudes of New York palette. We're talking a really nicely balanced, nice variety when it comes to a neutral palette. There's actually a really good kind of like warm and cool range in here. Great matte and shimmer mix, and the textures are so nice. If I had to pick one eyeshadow thing from Maybelline, this is without a doubt the thing you want to try. Nudes of New York is what that's called. It's been out for years. It's really good. For eyeliner, this is where I'm again reminded that I often stay in my lane with liners that I trust and I don't branch out enough, but I know that their Tattoo Studio pencils are really good and really smooth and creamy. Just a standard pencil. For mascara, I've actually been really enjoying one of their newest options, which is the Surreal Lash. This is one of my favorite mascaras right now. It's from the Falsies range. I like the really full brush. It seems to cling onto my lashes well and build nicely, so yeah, I like that. For lips, gotta be Superstay Matte Ink crayons. I love so many of these. Live on the Edge is a classic overarching favorite because I love blending this into other lip looks that I'm doing and giving it that dusty rose kind of vibe. But yes, they wear wonderfully well. They thin out on the lips and they still set and last. For lip liner, you can get one of their Color Sensational lip liners. This one in the shade Purely Nude is a nice basic to have. They're creamy. They go on with ease. And then of course for glosses, everybody loves the lifter glosses, and I do too. I've really come to enjoy them. I find that I don't necessarily go right off the applicator and get the fullest amount of gloss on my lips at one time because it can feel a little bit heavy. So I sort of go off the side a little bit generally and just get the perfect amount of gloss to top things off. I like Moon, I like Pearl, and one other lip product that I'm not quite sure how to categorize is the Vinyl. These are a brilliant product. They're called Superstay Vinyl Ink. They give you that little bit of shine, but a ton of staying power, and I love the color Koi if you're into pinks. Last brand I felt I could pull this off with is Hard Candy. One of the most affordable brands in the drugstore, and they are slaying it in so many ways, so I bet you guys guessed that I would have named this. I've had a ton of good things to say about Hard Candy in recent months, so let's burn through this list. We've got the Sheer Envy Hydrating Primer. This has the 12-hour makeup grip. This is your dupe for the Milk or the e.l.f. Does the same work but goes on more smoothly. For complexion, the Glamouflage Full Coverage Foundation. Yes, it is full coverage. It goes on with a giant buckfoot applicator there. I wear the shade Natural. Has good staying power. You can count on it, and it's like $5 and change. Same with the Glamouflage Full Coverage Concealer. Again, this is one of those Shape Tape copycat types of products that really can pull it off. I love that stuff. And paired with that little complexion routine, they have a really nice pressed powder. And yeah, I could just use this with my little triangle powder puff to set things. It's called Stay and Slay Translucent Setting Powder. And I've tried some different powders from Hard Candy that I haven't loved so much, but this one has been really nice, and it says helps to reduce the transfer of makeup, and the texture is really soft and smooth, but not too heavy. It's not so soft to the point that you easily cake yourself up. For bronzer and contour, we have not one but two options that are totally different textures. Your Instant Summer Bronzer, this is a great, soft, beautiful bronzer option. I wear the shade Tan. It's mango and cocoa butter infused. It's an absolutely stunning bronzer. And then also the Face Off line for liquids. These apply with a doe foot applicator, and this is the way all these Charlotte Tilbury dupe products should be. But get the shade Sweet Tea if you're about my skin tone. You're really going to enjoy that. It blends in with ease. It doesn't set too fast on the skin, and there's great pigment. And then I feel the same way about the Face Off liquid blushes. A couple of really great shades in that line that I would totally recommend. Born Yesterday is your beautiful cool pink. There's a little sheen in that. It's so pretty. And then I also love Who Is She if you want something a little more deep and rosy. For highlighter, I know I could get by with my Face Off stick highlighter. This is in the shade Rich Rich. It's got that really soft, kind of like pearlescent, shifty shimmer. And I need to play around a little bit more with the highlighters in this range, but I think they have some powder ones that I would really enjoy. For mist, you can get the Sheer Envy Hydrating Primer Mist or get the Longwear Setting Spray. This is very good, and I would say it's close to the effect that All Nighter is giving. Look at us, we're still just tearing through this list of great product after great product. They make something called Teddy Brow, and it's a really beautiful like tinted brow gel with a tiny little brush. It's really just a lower cost version of Benefit Gimme Brow. It has nice hold and it has really nice tint, and you can get very precise with that little brush. And you can also see like the little bitty hair-like particles that'll go into your brows and thicken up the look. In the eyeshadow department, Hard Candy has gone from being an extremely hit and miss brand to really upping their quality, and you can get their larger palettes. They're called Marquee, and they have some glitter options in there along with a number of finishes. I would say some of my favorites that they do, I mean, just amazing for the price. These Mantras palettes, so these are your 10 shade palettes. The one called Going Nude Never Looking Back, great little neutral palette option if you don't like to go too warm, elbowing things off the table. And then this one called Play With Fire has a lot of different fun color options too. And I mean, the textures are really good. I've done looks with these on my channel already. I have to start linking below to some places where you can see more of these in action. But these are the Moods little monochrome quads. Love the one called Bear and the one called Purr. Again, soft pigmented shadows and some of the least expensive ones in the drugstore. For eyeliners, I need to do a little more experimentation, but I know their shadow sticks are so good. And I've used this one called Pony as a liner, particularly a lower lash liner, many times. Just the perfect little smudgy stick. I love this dusty, murky mauve type of tone. And when it's not really full on catching the light, it's just the perfect little soft definition. And those really, really last. This is going to be very similar to the Laura Mercier Caviar Stick in Amethyst. They have a beautiful mascara, which is the mascara I'm wearing today, paired with a little bit of a half lash falsie. I think they've renamed it Dare to Extend, but mine just says Lengthen Ultimate Lash Extension Mascara. Really nice brush here for defining and lengthening. You've got rubber bristles, and then you've got spikies at the tip, which really help you get into those innermost lashes. For my favorite like lipstick type of product in this line, I love these like plumping balms, the ones that have the magnetic closure, and they're so similar to Buxom. I feel like Hard Candy has done a lot of Buxom dupe types of things. These have that kind of cooling sensation that the Buxom balms have, and this Colossal Caramel is just like a great everyday color. Really some nice pigment there. For their liners, the Instapout liners, you need the shades First Move if you like a cooler neutral, and Kiss and Tell for a warmer neutral. And these, again, just like Buxom, they're putting a brush on the other end. These are some of my absolute favorite drugstore liners. And then for a gloss, one of their brand new things are the Glosstopia Lip Repair Oils. I first bought one of these, and then I was eventually sent the rest. This color called Scarlet Bliss. It gives you just a little tinge of color, but mainly I use these kind of like a treatment. Early on in my makeup routine, when I sit down, I put a little bit of this on, I go about the rest of my face, and then by the time I want to do my lips, they're really nicely softened up. So yeah, I'm using these like a treatment. But yeah, my friends, that sums it up. I thought I was gonna just get through that super duper quick. I thought maybe this wouldn't be a long video at all, but those are the brands that I could use a full face of and love it. I will tell you a couple of brands that also came close. Milani has a ton of good things. However, I'm not a huge fan of their Conceal and Perfect stuff. For foundation and concealer, I could use it, but I really don't love it. Also, Believe Beauty. There's a brand where that's a Dollar General exclusive brand. They're doing so many things right, but unfortunately there are some holes in that line. There's some things that they like no longer offer, like lipstick. What the heck? They were doing some great lipsticks. Now you check the website, they're not even around anymore. I don't know. I came really close with NYX as well on this. They had some great complexion things, but then they've changed up eyeshadows to where, like, if you look up eyeshadows on their website, they've got some new palettes that I haven't even used yet. So I feel like I have a lack of familiarity on that. But just in case you were curious, yeah, some things came close. I had a lot of things that I could put down for L'Oreal, a lot of things for Revlon, but I couldn't complete the list with any brands other than Wet n Wild, e.l.f., Maybelline, and Hard Candy. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Weigh in the comments section. What do you think? And I will see you again very soon. I love you. Bye.